Welcome back. Alright, so normally I would turn off the air conditioner for a video I'm going to record, but I've got other hockey videos to record and I want it to stay mildly cool in here. And since nobody watches the Love Island videos anyways, here we are. Love Island is a show that I watch every summer, and it is a guilty pleasure. I sit with my wife, we watch it, we consume it, we talk about how ridiculous it is, and here's what you do. You get five good-looking men, five good-looking women, all in their early 20s, early to mid-20s. You throw them into this villa, this villa in Fiji, which is like just, this beautiful, beautiful part of the world. And you basically, you have them match up. At the end of the season, the most popular couple, voted on by the Americans for the USA version, the UK for the UK version, and I'm talking about the USA version for this. But the couple that gets the most votes wins money. And then you have the choice between keeping the money for yourself or sharing the money. And almost like traders, but no. So I've got The Carnage of Love Island as the title on this board because it has been an absolute bloodbath this year. So usually you get the first five of each, they bond, right? The five guys they all become a lot of bro hugging, a lot of hey, that's my boy, hey, that's my bro, that's, and a lot of the young ladies all, they bond the same way, they're all sisters by the end of it. So when you introduce new people, usually they don't last. So you bring in a new bombshell and everybody goes, that's a very attractive person, but we have our group here, we're not going to choose that person. Very often the bombshells, as they're called, the ones that come in, don't stick around. This year's been different. The original cast, a lot of them, just that connection isn't there. I've seen articles on how they're struggling to make real connections this year. I'm not sure what it is, but it has to be casting. To me, it feels like some of these people would be well suited to be on Too Hot to Handle, because I feel like sometimes they confuse physical attraction with an actual emotional attraction. The problem is this, and I'm gonna say this straight out. These people have known each other for days, maybe a couple of weeks in many of these cases. So it's really hard to develop a really strong connection with somebody over 2 weeks. In one case, one of the young ladies went in and she was there for 3 days, and then nobody picked her, and she went home. And I thought, that doesn't seem fair. She's been there for 3 days. There's all these established couples. Of course she's not going to stick around. But around the halfway mark of the season, they throw a wrench into it. Casa Amor. And Casa Amor this year did more damage than I've ever seen it do. So what it is they split the group up. The men go to a different villa, or sometimes the women go to a different villa. I'm pretty sure the women have gone at times too. And I think they change it up. But what they do then is, you go to one villa, they stay here, and then we'll add a whole bunch of new sexy single people to tempt you. And see if you are still loyal to that person you were with before, or if you choose to pair off with somebody new. Remember, they've known each other for days. Maybe a week and a half or 2 weeks. Not for that long. And so it would be easy, I would think, as somebody in your early 20s, to have your head turned at least a little bit. So the couples I wanted to focus on here, you've got Aaron and Kaylor. They've been together from day one. Initially, I wasn't a huge fan of them as a couple, but they've grown on me. And Kaylor, honestly, is probably the most likable of the young women on the show. Aaron was actually on The Traitors, the US version of The Traitors. Or no, UK version of The Traitors. And Aaron, I really liked him on Traitors. Fantastic. And it was a very entertaining season. Traitors is my favorite show. So as soon as I saw Aaron was on this, I was like, cool. I love Aaron. He's a great guy. But Aaron, a little bit of a ladies' man. A little bit. And you can see that. He really is a flirt. The host of the show, Ariana Maddox, was talking about how he was kind of flirty with her when she was going into the villa to host the show. Which, I mean, I get it. But at the same time, that's definitely something that could cause a problem, because they don't live in the same country. So, which is something that kind of drives Yvonne and I nuts, where you're pairing up with somebody, great. They live in the UK, you live in the US. That doesn't work. It's not going to work. When I was young, I tried long distance relationships. They don't work. Now, it'd be easier now, obviously, with Zoom calls and all the fun stuff you can get up to on the internet, but still, you're not with them, so it's not the same. But Aaron and Kaylor, well, Aaron goes over to Casa Amor, right? And I was kind of disappointed that he chose to go because this year, unlike every other season, they gave him a choice. They send the guys a text and go, okay, you guys can go to Casa Amor where you're going to meet all these sexy young ladies, or you can stay where you are in the villa with your current pairing and stay there. And my first thought was, Aaron, stay there. You're with Kaylor. There's two reasons you would do this. One is because you genuinely like the person you're with. And second, the money. The winning couple, the most popular couple, wins. It's $50,000, I believe. And so that's a good chunk of money, right? 50,000 US, about $800,000 Canadian. But anyway, I don't understand why these couples don't think of that, especially when during the year they do talk. Okay, so this couple was voted as one of America's favorite. This is one of them, and again, you know that the viewers like you and your couple. Don't veer too much from that because it makes you look bad. It makes you look bad, and suddenly you won't be getting the votes anymore. You suddenly have no chance to win the money. And it feels to me like Aaron completely lost sight of the money when he goes over to Casa Amor and meets Daniela, which was exactly what she was there for. One thing when they go to Casa Amor, it's like every guy there is going to be a young lady there who is picked for him by production, where they get through. I swear it's all the personality stuff, and they match them up and go, okay, these people have the same interests. We'll put her in Casa Amor, and when he goes in, they should naturally gravitate towards one another. That's how I figure production does it. So Aaron immediately goes straight to Daniela because he's very much ruled by the hormonal region of his body and not so much by the brain at times. Whereas Leah was with Miguel, they were only paired up for a couple of days. Leah's had a rough summer. She's bounced around a bit. She had it bad for Rob. I think she still does. But they're toxic. That can't happen again, I don't think. But when people are toxic for often, they'll come back together. Now Miguel goes over to Casa Amor and he comes back with Sierra, who looks almost identical to Selly, who has been on the show, I think 2 or 3 times. Selly's been on the show. She's also one of the hosts of After Sun, which is the companion show to this. I don't know why there's a companion show to this. This is already on 4 times a week. I'm not watching the companion show because this already eats up a lot of time as it is. But Miguel pairs up with Sierra. Leah decides to stay single because none of the young ladies, when the young guys come into the villa, so while the guys are being tempted by these young women, all these eligible bachelors come in to try to tempt the ladies. And remember, if you're coming into the show as a bombshell, you want to stay on the show, which means you need to convince one of these young ladies or young men, choose me, pick me. And so that amount of attention that these people get can be flattering. The difference is the women seem to understand, all right, I like these guys. These guys are great, but I miss the guy who went over to Casa Amor. I miss him. I want to be with him. The guys just basically seem to go, hey, these girls are really good looking. Let's pick one of them. Because Miguel comes back with Sierra. And what's funny is that he was one of the ones that you could see immediately a little bit of regret. Because he comes in and sees Leah single. Serena was with Cordell. Slow burn on that relationship. Eventually, Serena starts opening up. And then he goes to Casa Amor, which was a mistake. I think for him. Because, again, the last vote they revealed, that was one of the most popular couples. This is one of the couples that the U.S. vote said was one of the best. So you may very well be finding yourself a new girlfriend, but you may be hosing yourself out of $50,000. Yeah, that's so he comes back with Dea. Now with Dea with Cordell and Aaron, they were considered to be in the strongest couples with Serena and Kaylor. So production, being evil, they record them making out with other young ladies and send the videos to Kaylor and Serena, the girlfriends of these guys, so that Kaylor was yelling so loud in the villa, F you Aaron and F Aaron, yelling it so loud that And it's like, I don't know, it's probably, I don't know, 500 feet away from the Casa Amor setup. But since there's nothing out there, sound carries. In Casa Amor, they could hear Kaylor yelling that about Aaron. So Aaron hears that and goes, I better back off from Daniela because clearly Kaylor knows what's going on over here. So he decides, I'm gonna back off from Daniela. First he tells Rob. Rob and Aaron are really good friends. So Rob's like, cool. Do you mind if I go over and talk to Daniela? And Aaron, being stupid, says, yeah, go ahead. Have a chat with her. Because Rob was single. Rob, Rob, who's broken a couple of hearts in the villa, he went over there single. He got nothing to worry about. He's fine. So he pairs up with the one that Aaron was making out with behind Kaylor's back. So he brings her back. Janae had finally found Kenny. Now, Janae got saved by the young ladies when they had a vote. So this show is really mean. Sometimes they'll go, okay, these are the 4 most popular couples. Now, anybody not in the most popular couples could get evicted. So all the guys are going to sit together and decide which guy's going home out of the ones that weren't most popular. And all the young ladies are going to decide which other young lady is going to go home. So the guys decided, we're going to go with the one who doesn't have a very strong connection with anybody. The ladies decided this young woman made a really strong connection. She's not really trying to look for anybody else. So we feel like she's had the experience. She's completed her experience and we're going to boot her out. She'd been in the villa for 3 days. What they did was they saved Janae. Now, again, with Janae, they said, well, she hasn't had a chance to find her person yet. And we're really rooting for her. And, so we're going to keep her in. But the guys were like, wait a minute. You're booting somebody out who's in a couple because they're in a couple. That doesn't make any sense. Aren't we here to find somebody? And the problem was that the young men and young women had a different reason for booting people. So Rob was choked. Rob wanted to leave for like 5 minutes. He made a big scene out of it. I've already seen gifs online of Rob's freak out because it was over the top and ridiculous. But he freaks out. Now he's with Daniela. He seems fine. Andrea, who was paired up with him, he's got a type. Andrea, he likes the Latina ladies. But he was paired up with Andrea. Andrea's gone home. I'm sure Andrea's watching this down going, whew, because she was with him. Yeah, they were paired together. But I don't know that Rob, like none of these people seem ready to settle down. This is the weird thing to me, is you have the show where everybody's pairing off and they make you look evil for looking around. But these people are not ready to settle down and get married. I mean, they'll talk about it and think they are, but are they? No, I don't think they are. I think getting married in your early 20s can be rife with issues. I'm not saying that it can't be a good idea, but it can absolutely lead to issues. So now getting back to Janae. She hadn't found a connection. She finds a connection with Kenny. Kenny goes over to Casa Amor. He still likes Janae, but he's worried Janae might pick up somebody else because they were only together for a couple of days. So he comes back with Catherine. Catherine looked miserable coming into the villa, which all of the young ladies did coming into the villa. I have never seen 4 guys come back with a new girl. That is a record. I've never seen that many people in the villa at the same time. I have never seen this. This is absolute chaos. At some point, the show is going to have to eliminate like 6 people in a night. Like it's going to be like the Red Wedding version on Love Island. Like the Love Island version of the Red Wedding. Because it's just too many people. You can't follow all of these couples now. All of these people are in the villa, and you've got way too many young women who are not happy right now. Janae is choked at Kenny, again, where I've left off. I've watched the episode where all the Casa people come back. I'm still a few days behind. Not that far behind, though. Serena and Cordell are now getting to be in the same villa. I saw a preview for the next episode I haven't watched yet where Serena's yelling at him, and rightfully so, because she was finally opening up to him, and then he goes over and he's like, hey, this one kind of likes me. I kind of understand where he was coming from. Cordell's the kind of guy who really likes to be physically affectionate, and Serena's very standoffish that way. Takes a while for her to get there. And I don't know if she's going to be affectionate enough. And I don't know if you've been in a relationship where you're with somebody who that level of physical affection is not the same as yours. If that's not equal, it can turn bad quickly. So, yeah, I'm adding some seriousness to this too, even as ridiculous as it is. Now, Kendall and Nicole are the one couple not affected by the carnage. Although, When Aaron is making out with Daniela behind Kaylor's back, Kendall says, "There goes my boy. I love that. That's not Kaylor." Kaylor considered Kendall to be a brother-like figure to her in the villa. So Kaylor, hearing Kendall say that about Daniela kissing Aaron, makes Kaylor really choked at Kendall. She confronts him at the bonfire about it. And it's just... So, I keep track of all this. Yvonne doesn't. The names escaped Yvonne completely. So that's why she's not in this video with me. Now, Nicole also heard Kendall in the video saying that. So I'm sure Nicole's going to have some words for Kendall. But Nicole decided to stay faithful to him. And Kendall didn't make out with anybody. He didn't do anything wrong. He was the only male in Casa Amor who behaved. Aaron kept saying, "I haven't done anything wrong" with Daniela because he wasn't showering with her, which he was doing with Kaylor. He wasn't, which he was with Kaylor, clearly. But that's... I think if I said to my wife, I said, "Now listen, that very attractive young lady, all we did was cuddle. All we did was make out. I might have given her a back massage. She might have sat in my lap a few times. We might have talked about fooling around. But that's it. Nothing happened." I think the divorce papers would come in within about a week. I think it's about a week. It's just... But guys are... And it leads to conversations between Yvonne and I, too, where I'm like, okay, I get where the guys are coming from and why guys have that opinion. Guys, there are some guys who will actually have the opinion of, look, I just made out with her. It's nothing. And there are some women who will feel the same way. But in general, that is taken more seriously. And again, I'm saying it very generally. It's usually taken more seriously by women than by men. They're just like, hey, she's hot. What was I supposed to do? She's hot. Did you notice that? I'm supposed to say no? She's hot. You don't want me to offend her, do you? So, why'd you pick up that baseball bat? Where's that going? So, Kendall and Nicole are okay. Liv picks one of the bombshells in Kane because she was single. Liv's had a hard time finding a guy because she's very headstrong. She's very opinionated. Guys don't generally like that much. There are certain words that'll get used to describe a woman who's very headstrong. But I like Liv. The funny thing is, Liv came in as a bombshell, and I wasn't a fan of hers in the beginning. I was like, I don't know why, because she picked Rob, and I was like, why is she picking Rob? But now that she's been in there for a while, I think she's a great friend to the other ladies. She is very outspoken. She will straight up tell somebody face to face what she really thinks of them. And while the other guys don't seem to like that very much, I think it's great. I think that for any guy who ends up paired up with Liv, you're going to know where you stand at all time, or at any time of the day, of the night. You're going to know where you stand with her. I appreciate that. That's a good thing. It's one thing in my marriage that I have, that if Yvonne or myself, if we're upset about something, the other person knows. And we will talk it out pretty darn quickly. There is no relationship where you don't ever have a problem and you're always la-da-da-da-da and skipping through a field. That's a different reality show. But you just have to be able to talk that out. You have to be honest. So I think Liv, right now, guys are like, whatever, because she probably comes across as whatever to them. I think they're going to appreciate that more. She's stunning. Everybody on the show's stunning. That's kind of a thing. I don't know if there's actually anything between her and Kane, but she was single. So she's kind of like, yeah, I'll pair up with him and see how it goes. All right, you'll do that. And of course, Rob coming in with Daniela. Of course, the girls right away were like, that's her, meaning the one in the video with Aaron that was making out with Aaron. Even though they didn't show them kissing, you knew they were going to. They showed them kissing on TV. They didn't show them kissing in the video that Kaylor got. But they were talking about kissing in Spanish because she's Latina, which there are certain guys who have a weakness for that. Again, for Rob, this is the second Latina woman that he's been paired up with during the summer. So there's definitely a type for him. Not that the showrunners know that, of course. Of course they do. But it is going to be interesting to see how this all shakes out because there's way too many people. I mean, I'm up to 19 and a half minutes, and I'm skipping over a lot. I am skipping over a lot of stuff. Now, what got me kind of excited, too, is Cassie, who was my favorite from last season. And Cassie was paired up with a guy last summer who cheated on her with somebody else from during the Casa Amor time, and I mean actually slept with another woman. And then when he went back to the villa, um, went right back for Cassie. The funny thing is Cassie showed a lot of maturity because when he was with the other girl, Cassie didn't get mad at the other girl, which can happen, right? The woman gets mad at the other woman. No, she actually became friends with the other woman. They kissed, which was weird, but I might have helped the ratings a bit. But Cassie remained really good friends with the other woman, even though at the end of the season she was with the guy who had cheated on her. They remained a pairing. When the show ended, Cassie's relationship with him stopped because, of course, it did. But she remained friends with Johnny, which was the name of the woman who he cheated on her with. They went to concerts together. They traveled together. I was like, maybe she's paired up with Johnny because she is bi. So apparently not, though, because she's back. She's back. They haven't put her in the villa yet. And all I can think is, okay, so they're going to send Cassie in, who's Latina. So might Rob's head turn again? I'm thinking, yeah. I feel really bad for Daniela. Like, I feel bad for people coming in from Casa Amor. Because remember, you've got all these people in the villa. They're all friends. They all know each other. The guys go out. These girls are still waiting for the guys to come back and like, oh, I missed them, I missed them. Now they come back with new women. Those women probably not going to be very popular, at least in the beginning. It'll smooth over a little bit. One thing that Aaron has working for him here is Daniela and Kaylor can sit and talk, and Daniela can tell Kaylor, look, Aaron backed off before we were done with Casa Amor, and suggested to Rob that we get together. The stupidest thing Aaron's ever done, I think. But guys have that discussion. I saw a post online today with, that's just gross. Like, it's like Aaron passed her off to Rob. Well, no. That it definitely happens. When you go to summer camp, you might have somebody that you think's really cute. Maybe they think you're cute, but it just doesn't work. And so you might know they have a thing for your friend, and you're like, hey, dude, she likes you, you like her, go for it. So it happens, and it feels like this is just one long summer camp, and everybody runs around in hardly any clothing. So I get it. I get why guys get their heads turned a little bit, but nobody thinks about the money. Cordell may have lost $50,000 just because he decided not to go back to Serena. Aaron might have lost $50,000 for the way he treated Kaylor. So when people are voting, they're voting for the couple. Now Kaylor may not get $50,000 because of what Aaron did. Because if they pair up again, people are going to be like, well, I don't know. I mean, he screwed around on her, so I don't know if I want to vote for them. What it does is it puts Kendall and Nicole in an excellent position where they can win the money, because they will be the couple that's been together the longest and had the least amount of drama. Although people will vote for the drama as well. I do think this year, I think Kendall, who's genuinely a nice guy, and Nicole, who seems like a really nice young lady. She came in as a bombshell as well, but she bonded with the other women right away, and I thought that was great. I thought that was great. Even when she came in with Andrea, and then Andrea gets voted out, Nicole was mad Andrea got voted out, but very quickly she talked to the other young ladies. She's really got a bond now with Liv and Kaylor, and this is something people need to pay attention to. And everybody loves Janae. I think Janae is stunning. I think she's a really great young lady. For whatever reason, guys don't seem to stay with her very long. I'm bewildered by that. Absolutely bewildered. But at any rate, I wanted to talk about this with all you fine people on the internet. So there you go. My annual Love Island videos have started again. I anticipate this will get about 400 views because I'm well aware Love Island videos don't draw on this channel, but I enjoy talking about it. I invited Yvonne to be with me for the Love Island video, and her response was, I don't remember who anybody is. Like, when we're watching it, she knows which couples are which, but the names, she doesn't. She doesn't have any idea. So we're sitting there watching, and I'm like, oh man, Kaylor's going to be choked. And she'll look over, and I'm like, that's the one with Aaron. Now, she knows who Kaylor is now, but yeah, during the show, there's times where I'll throw a name out there, and she goes, which one's that? It's that one there with, oh, okay, yeah. So, the only, and I'll throw this in here too, I really wish the camera work was different. They really try to get the most gratuitous shots of the ladies in hardly any clothes, and it's awkward. And they show both the guys and the girls changing, and it just feels invasive and kind of wrong. It is one thing with the show. And this is the trick, right? Because I do enjoy watching the show, but I will admit that the way that people are emotionally manipulated, it's tough. It's tough to watch at times, because they do choose who pairs up in which order to create the most drama. You get that for ratings, right? But it's got to be tough for some of them. The one thing that keeps me from getting really upset about it is a lot of people go on reality shows to increase their following on Instagram, to increase their following on TikTok, maybe YouTube, wherever else, and get themselves brand deals, right? Get themselves those deals coming out of that where they can make a lot of money. So I do think that's in the back of their mind, but they don't seem to think about the prize money on the show very often. And they should, because it's a significant amount of money. One thing I'll throw in too, most of the couples that were together at the end of last year's Love Island are still together. So there is some hope for the couples that get through this, that maybe they stay together. Although I don't know that this year's cast is as mature as last year's cast. Last year's cast was very mature, which meant there was a lot less drama. So, other than Cassie, and Cassie's the one that's coming back. But again, most of the other couples are still together. So it's not like you can have Hannah come in, because I think she's getting married to the guy she was with last year. So, at any rate, there you go. Love Island video. Not something people expect from me. Not a show that people would expect that I would watch. It is about as far away from watching NHL hockey as you can get. There you go. Let me know your thoughts. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.